Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today it's time for another squat and deadlift day, and I'm pretty happy with today's workout. Uh, Definitely can tell the difference between adding carbs versus adding the extra salt to my diet. Uh, I think electrolytes have been a big deal as I've been cutting. Because when I was at my strongest, I was eating all that watermelon and other stuff, and I think it was the sheer amount of potassium. But I think it's just electrolytes in general. So one thing I've noted, I felt so much stronger the last couple of days since I started adding more salt in. And I think that really is the key. I may not need the extra rice and stuff. I may be able to get by on vegetables and nuts and little berries in terms of my carbs again. So something I'll think about over the next few days, but definitely can tell a difference with the added sodium, right? And I've been adding extra potassium and stuff back into everything I cook. So I've been doing kind of a blend of both to make sure I'm getting enough electrolytes, and definitely can tell the difference. So I went ahead and did a 5x5 on the squats today. These sets weren't particularly hard, although watching it, I would have liked some of these to be a little deeper. So I think that's where I'm going to focus on the next workout, focusing on going back and getting that good depth again. So again, trying to find the bar positions on the high bar and the grip that is comfortable on my shoulders. Today, this was really comfortable on my shoulders. So that's worth noting, kind of finding those positions. But I feel like, as I've said recently, there's maybe a point of kind of going back to my roots a little bit, of pursuing a little bit of aggressive overload with more of these moderate reps, squat, bench, deadlift, pull-ups, and then fill in everything else with, the peripheral exercises. But yeah, looking at this footage today, I'm not super happy with these depths. The sets felt good. None of them felt fatiguing. I do need to focus on hammering these deeper. Now, this is still good depth, like in terms of say, for powerlifting purposes, these are all below parallel. Again, because I've checked my side angles versus this front. But from a hypertrophy perspective, I'd like a hair more, but also this week, I also feel like I may not really be in much of a deficit. I feel like I'm closer to maintenance. And it's hard to tell, I think, a little bit because the extra sodium and carbs have put a little bit of water weight back on. Yesterday, I felt like I looked a little better, but I always feel like, for some reason, I always feel like I look fatter on the lower body footage. I don't know why. But as I got into the sets, of course, it got better, right? Like the fourth and fifth set, I think they looked a little better as I kind of got in my groove. But still, the weight was comfortable. Like, this didn't feel particularly heavy for fives. And it does kind of raise the point of where I want to place strength standards for stuff. In terms of telling guys, look, how strong do you really need to be to look good, to be jacked, what sort of strength standards. And I think a lot of this we can, because if we're not going to discuss it from powerlifting, I think we can use fives. If you can do X amount of weight on these different exercises for 5, you should be about at a certain level. And again, tailoring that with pull-ups. And I always like the idea of using things like pull-ups, particularly dead hang pull-ups, as a bit of a body composition measure. Or we could just say, hey, if you can just be lean. But, people don't, that can be very, very subjective. Now, that being said, obviously I'm going to continue to diet down, and I need to tighten that waistline up. And that really is the biggest thing at this point, right? Particularly because some days when I look a little leaner or when the fluid balance is there, and I think I can definitely tell the waistline is all that needs to change. A little bit more arm, tighten up the waistline, get the loose skin, extra fat burned off there. Probably look pretty decent. But I think one of the things to keep in mind is how I look day to day is because of the fact that I don't get to ever peak for stuff like a lot of guys do. They're only seen shirtless when they can peak. I'm shirtless every day, right? And it doesn't matter what's going on with my diet, I'm still shirtless. So again, you just look at the total averages. But deadlifts, I went ahead and did conventional deadlifts again, and I haven't done them in a while. And to be fair, those didn't feel bad. I did a nice easy set of 5 at 495, held the last one. So I'm going to work the deadlifts back in. Although I think really working 5 sets of squats and 1 set of deadlifts really gives me kind of the balance I want. Kind of how I program novice programs, really, ironically. And then again, just filling in all the other stuff, hamstrings, calves. I'm at a point though where I feel like if I do 5 hard sets of squats and then a set of deadlifts, my quads probably are getting all the work they need to get big. They really are. So from there, it really is just stuff like hamstrings, calves, abs. All right, calf raises, I feel like I've been almost half-assing them. So I did these with 225, and I've not been showing the plates because I don't feel like that's enough of a weight for anyone to care. It's just been zoomed in on the calves. For the last couple sets, I'm like, well, let me crank these up to 315. Then I backed the camera up, and I only got 5 reps on the first set, then I got 8. So that tells me, okay, I can work with 315. I just have to get used to it. Just not used to doing a calf raise with that much weight. Of course, we get into the question of axial loading. I don't know. I feel like for me at this point in the game, my core is strong enough that I can get away with a fair amount of axial loading, especially if I've got some traction stuff in there. I think if I really focus a lot on the pull-ups on the upper days and things, that really balances it out. Same thing if I'm not doing barbell rows and all of my real axial loading gets done on lower body days, I think I can manage a fair amount of it. And when we get into these topics of those, I think what people forget is it's when we're doing very, very large numbers of sets. All right, here now I'm going to go ahead and start pushing these calf raises up. Why? I've just been doing this pump work for them, right? And I really need to get used to loading some real weight on there. But the fact that I got on my 5th set, I managed to get 8 reps with these with 315 tells me, yeah, my calves are a lot stronger than I'm given credit for. So, maybe I should treat them like any other muscle in that they really need to pursue performance. Let's look at total tension and stuff. And they'll probably keep growing because, again, I have only been training calves a couple of weeks. This is just how big my calves are. So, and honestly, when I measured, I was surprised that they're the same size as my arms. My flexed bicep and my calf are the same size. It's like, okay. So I am balanced. So let's go ahead and just train all of it since I'm putting a lot of focus on arms. Let's hit the calves and let's keep them proportionate as I continue to diet down and get leaner. Let's go for that old school classic look. And that's kind of what I'm going to do here as I diet down. I want to have that golden era type look, right? And I think that appeals to people. And I think most people out there watching go, okay, I can get behind that, right? Even guys who don't always care about how they look. It's like, yeah, there's something to be said for that. We should be strong. We should be jacked. We should be lean. Okay. I can only do 1 set of hamstrings a day. The deadlifts, and I didn't realize that having not done deadlifts, I forgot how hard they hit my calves. My calves started cramping. Sorry, not my calves, my hamstrings right there. Same thing when I was doing the leg raises, the hamstrings were cramping. So I'm going to need a week or so to get used to doing deadlifts again because that was a little tough. My hamstrings started cramping up. I'm like, okay, that's it for today. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.